So, hi there. We just have to do a quick test whether the picture and the sound is working out. So just give us a minute, and then we're going to start the slideshow, and after about 25 minutes we're going to start the real wine tasting. As you can see, the glasses are already here, the cheese is here, the wine is in the fridge, and we're just waiting for our bread to be ready, and then we can start. So, can you check whether the sound is working? Mm-hmm. So we get a computer in the next room so that we can see if everything's nice and smooth. So I just sit here and talk a little bit. Later on, this is going to be my place, and here is going to be Tim. He's my partner for tonight. He's a professional hunter from Mainz. So we're from the area. Tonight we're streaming from Bingen am Rhein, so also quite close to Wiesbaden. Yeah, I'm really, really excited to do this together with you. So I hope you're also excited and looking forward to meet us. Is it working?
It's working.
Okay, so let's start the slideshow, and I'm gonna see you in about 25 minutes. good evening. Before we start, can you all see us? Do we have a fluent picture? And can you all hear us? It would be nice if you just could type in yes into the chat so I can see that you are able to use the chat. Yeah. Is it working?
Yeah, I think it's we will have to wait a minute.
Yeah. And also maybe you can move.
Yes, we can. Okay.
That's
like
good to hear. And maybe you can move a little bit.
Yeah.
So that you're not in the
Okay.
in the corner, you
right.
see. Okay. Welcome to our first English wine tasting here in Germany. And welcome to our friends in Wiesbaden. It's good to have you here tonight. And before we start, some organizational stuff. You all received a package with cheese and wine and also some material. So we just want to talk about the material. You got this. I don't know how much German you speak, but sorry, it's in German. That's why I'm going to explain it now. You can open up this and it's a tasting sheet. So in the first row, you can write down the name of the wine. In the second row, you can write down the vintage. And there you can score your wine. So how do you like the wine? The first one is about the color. So do you like the color? Is it a nice color? Is it typical for the grape? The second one is about the smell. Same thing. Do you like the smell? Or maybe you don't like the smell. It's also right. Then we have the taste. In the next row, we have the sweetness, the sourness. And here we have the overall rating. And you can always use 1 to 5 grapes. So 1 grape is not that good. And 5 grapes is I love it. Down here, you get some space for your personal comments. And as we're also doing wine and cheese today, you maybe can write down which cheese you liked and why you like that cheese. So it's not a test, but it's just for your memory. So tomorrow morning, you still can remember which kind of wine you had and how do you like it. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is you got these ones. Also in German, I'm sorry about that. These are cards for the analytical data of the wine. So down here, you get a number. So you see which wine is the first one, the second one, and so on. Just for your information, we're going to start with the orange wine. Then we're going to continue with the Grüner Silvaner, dry. The third one is going to be the Pinot Grigio or Grauer Burgunder, semi-dry. I do not have the card here, but you got one at your place. The fourth wine is going to be the Liebfrauenmilch. It's that nice, beautiful, colorful picture. Then the fifth wine is Huxelrebe Sweet. And the last one, I'm going to search it later on, is going to be Pinot Noir, or in German, Blauer Spätburgunder semi-dry. Just for your information, it's going to be 6 wines tonight. We're going to start with 2 wines, then have a short break of about 8 minutes. Then we're going to do the third and the fourth wine. We're going to have another break, and then we're going to do the 2 last wines. Before we start, there's something really important. You got 1 red wine tonight. And maybe you know that red wine likes to breathe because with the air, the wine can react, so we get more aroma. Therefore, we get this nice thing. It's called decanter. I'm not sure if it's an English word also, but you need some kind of bowl where you could put the wine in. It can be a tea bowl or for flowers, a vase. Everything is all right. You just need to have a place where you can put in the wine and let it work with the air. So, Tim can do this now.
All right.
It's for the Blaue Spätburgunder, so for the final wine. You just can open it up, pour it in, and put it beside, so we can drink it later on. Yeah, now about me. My name is Shanna Reis. I'm the winemaker of Weingut Reis Luff, or Wine Estate Reis Luff in Rheinhessen. So we're about 25-30 kilometers away from Wiesbaden. We're located about 10 kilometers away from the River Rhine, and we're a family wine estate. And next to me is my friend Tim.
Yep, hello everybody.
He's a professional hunter, and as he's pretty good in speaking English, he's doing the tasting with me.
Yeah, glad to be here today.
Yeah, and for your knowledge, he is a wine fan, but he also knows nothing about wine. So
Exactly.
he's also here for asking some questions and so on.
Exactly. I'll be reading the comments today. Any questions, and I'm going to read them.
Yeah, right. So he's the community manager.
Yeah.
And as you got this chat, it's your chance to talk to us, to ask your questions, all the stuff you always wanted to know about wine. We're happy to answer, and I'm trying to answer them, and also maybe food pairing. If you're interested in that, we can also do this. And let me think about it. tonight we're gonna do wine and cheese. So we also get cheese here. And we're gonna see which cheese fits to your wine and how do you like it, because you got the wine with its tastes, and you got the cheese. But if you pair it together, you get completely new flavors, and this is the interesting part about food pairing. So just feel free to mix up whatever you like. Maybe you get some more cheese than only the two that I sent to you, and we're just gonna see how you like it. And we are always interested to see how you are spending your evening with our wines and our cheese. So it's nice to see what you're doing, and we would love to see some pictures. So if you like to, you can find us on Instagram, and you can tag us on Instagram. You can see it's you can put on the Instagram stuff now.
Yeah, sure.
You can find us on Instagram. It's called Weingut, Reis Luff. So you see it there on the screen. And yeah, just share some stories. We're happy to see them. We're happy to see which cheese you have. Maybe you tried out the recipe from Maria, because I heard that she gave a recipe of Spundekäse to you. So it's a kind of special German cream cheese. And please tell us how you like it, because I really, really like Spundekäse. And it's interesting to see how you like it. But I think we should stop talking now and start with the first wine, because we all want to start tasting. This is the very first one, is our orange wine. So it's a really exotic thing. And well, let's open it up. As you can see, we got 4 glasses on the table. This is because we're going to compare the wines to each other. So it's nice to have 2 glasses for each person. Well, let me see where I can put it. So there we go. For tasting, you could use about 100 milliliters of wine. So there's somewhere a line. You can just put it like this, because we're not here to get totally drunk. We're here for tasting the wine. So slowly, and just try to get some flavors. Yeah. Is everything all right in the chat?
Yeah. So now everything is good. Yeah, everything's good. Can you maybe tell us something about the shapes of the glass? And what are the differences?
Yeah, I'm gonna do this, but first of all, I'm gonna tell the people how we taste wine.
Okay, yeah.
How we do wine tasting.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure if everybody had a wine tasting before, so I'm gonna repeat that. So if we taste some wine, we take the glass. I'm going to talk about the shape because this is really nice to know. And we look at the color. You can use a white sheet of paper, or we have got a white lamp here, so you just pull it in front of the lamp or in front of the paper, and you can see this is a very special color. It's amber or orange color. That's why the wine is called orange wine. And after seeing the color and judging the color, if you like it or not, or whether you like it or not, you can smell the wine. So, and then you can first of all think about it. Do I like it? Or what is my opinion on it? Then maybe you can get some flavors or some aromas. For the orange wine, it's always a little bit spicy. So we maybe get some vanilla notes. We get some herbs. Let me think about the English words for this. Some pear is something you can smell. And also a little bit of smoke, leather, and maybe wood. And next step is sipping or drinking. So you just take a small sip. And flush your mouth. So it's not about just drinking. It's about keeping the wine in your mouth, keeping it on your tongue, and get the flavors to really taste it. And maybe you can just get some air into your mouth, because then the wine can work with the air. Or you should do it like that.
Yeah.
And then you can really receive some more tastes or some more flavors. And now you really can feel the tannins on your tongue. And this is because orange wine is something really special. Because usually, if you want to do white wine, you harvest the grapes, you put the grapes into your press. The press is pressing, and then you receive grape juice. You put the grape juice in your cellar, and then you put yeast on that juice. And then we got fermentation about 2 weeks, and then we got a white wine, a young white wine. On the other hand side, we have red wine. There you take red grapes, and you take the whole red grape with the skin around it and put it into a tank. Then you put yeast on these grapes and the fermentation starts. Because there is still the skin, the alcohol can go into the skin and takes out the color and gets into the juice and gets into the wine. And after this fermentation is done, it's also about 2 weeks, then you press this red wine and you receive red wine. And orange wine is something in between, because you take white grapes, put them into tank with the skins and ferment them with the skin. And therefore we got the orange color which is in the skin of the grapes, and this is transferred into the wine. And also, because of this special treatment of the grapes, we get completely different taste than with a normal white wine. So this is really important about orange wine. And you get a completely different taste. And in my experience, 50% of the people really like it, and 50% of the people hate it. There's nothing in between. There's just yes or no. There's no, I'm not sure about that.
We've got a question. Is orange wine common in Germany?
Orange wine is the oldest kind of producing wine, or the oldest one. And it is started in Georgia, I don't know when. And it was really a long time forgotten in Germany. But nowadays, young winemakers like me decided, okay, let's do this again, because it was quite nice and interesting. So there is a orange wine scene with a lot of people doing orange wine, but it's still a niche. So if you type in orange wine for Google, for example, you usually find my wine, because my orange wine is quite popular in Germany. And then you maybe get some more, but it's not that much. So it's always a little treasure which you have to find.
Okay.
Yeah. But now going back to your question about the glass shape, because as you might know, there are different glass shapes in Germany or all over the world. And depending on the wine, you can use different glasses. We today have these small ones. And you see, you got this round shape, which is going together. And then the aroma goes up and stays here in this ring. So it's the best shape to keep the aroma in the glass, so that you can really smell the aroma. If you go for red wine, you sometimes have these really huge glasses, and this is because of the breathing of the wine. Because if you got a huge glass, you got a huge surface, and the wine can work with the air or with the oxygen around it. So that's why red wine glasses are usually a little bit bigger. And also you got, for example, sparkling wine glasses. These are shaped so that the sparkles just can go nicely up and down, or more up than down.
Okay.
Oh no, your glass is empty. I wanted to talk about the wine, the cheese, because this is a really, really nice wine to go with cheese. So I would go for my recommendation for the Brie, which you received. So maybe you can give me your plate. It's right in front of you. And here we have a knife. Thank you. So this is the Brie. I'm gonna give to you. We just take small pieces because we don't want to chew all the time, but you can take bigger pieces. But also for my and your interest, we're gonna take some of the herb cheese. And furthermore, because I think it's fitting nicely, we get some more cheese here, as you might see. This is a cheddar. I think it's quite funny because it's orange cheese and orange wine. So maybe you want to taste that.
Thank you.
You can also pour some more wine if you want to. And I'm going to do the same. I need to get a plate later on.
Oh.
It's all right.
Okay.
Yeah. So as you can see, we also have some mustard here, because it's pretty nice to have cheese with this sweet mustard, and also some grapes, which is also looking good and tasting nice. It's difficult for me to do two things at the same time, so just give me a minute. Are there any questions concerning the orange wine?
No, not till now.
Okay, just give me a minute. And also, please, take some cheese and put some cheese into your mouth and maybe sip some wine and see how the flavor develops in your mouth.
And yes, we are using a giant wheel of cheese as a table.
What?
There is a question if we are using a giant wheel of cheese as a table, and yes, we are.
Yeah. Thank you to our friend Simon. He got this today as decoration for you, so it's pretty nice. maybe some people of you have heard about orange wine, and there's another term called natural wine. And I got the experience that some people mix these terms up, but there's a difference. So I want to explain this to you. We got on one hand side orange wine. And orange wine is, as I said, the name is because of the color, and it's just the characteristics that we use the whole grape and get the color out of the skin. And on the other hand side, we have natural wine. Natural wine is also orange wine, but natural wine is more, because with natural wine, the winemaker doesn't do that much. So they try to keep they try to use natural yeast. They do not filtrate the wine. They do not use SO2, and they just try to keep it as natural as possible. For me, in my opinion, it's a little bit risky. That's why we're doing it a little bit different. So we are filtrating our wines. We're using SO2, and this is why this orange wine is quite easy to drink. It's a nice orange wine for beginners. So if you want to dive deeper into this topic, you can find a whole lot more of orange wines, which are way stronger and more difficult to drink, and maybe you don't like them because you got a lot of good stuff, but you also got a lot of bad stuff going in this natural orange wine thing. Just having another bite of cheese. For your explanation, the cheese is also local. There's a small is it cheese manufactory in Dörbach, which is about 20 minutes away from where we do our wine. So I thought it was quite nice to have also something local which we can support. And they're not only working organic, they're working Demeter in German. So this is a really good way of treating the animals and getting cheese from there. So I think it's a nice thing which we can support by doing these wine tastings and promoting this local cheese.
What is SO2? A new question.
It's sulfur. Is that the English word for Schwefel?
Yeah, sulfur. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's sulfur. So you also have this in a lot of food, and it is to conserve the wine. So we put sulfur on the wine, only a small amount, so you don't smell it or taste it, and it's no harm to your health. But it keeps the wine fresh, nice, and crispy. And this is, good to do. And most of winemakers do this. They're only the small part of natural winemakers. Mm-hmm. They say we do not want to use sulfur.
Okay, and how long have you been making wine?
I'm 29 now, mm-hmm. And I started winemaking in 2017.
Okay.
So as I said, we got a family wine estate. So my grandparents, my grandparents, my father, my mother, everyone is doing wine. And I grew up in a wine estate, and I did a lot of stuff like bottling machines and going to the vineyard, blah, blah, blah. I did all this stuff. But in 2017, I got into charge of the wine estate. And this is the point where I started also making wine. So I studied wine business, international wine business, and did also a master in business administration. But on the other hand side, my father told me how to make wine. And in 2017 was my first vintage, where we decided, okay, we got a basic line, which is called Reis Luff. We're going to taste this later on. But I also want something very own. So this is why I said, okay, I want to do an orange wine. And my very first wine was this orange wine. So you can see it got a different label. It's more of reflection of stuff which I like personally. And it's more these are more edgy wines for special days and wines to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think let's finish that glass and continue with the next one. So we're going to change the glass now because the orange wine is really strong in taste and we need to have a fresh glass now for our second wine, which is Silvaner. Oh, I have to turn it this way. So it's called Grüner Silvaner. Well, it's not semi-dry. You got the wrong word there. It's dry. Sorry about that. So you can turn it off.
Yeah.
And now it's interesting for you because the orange wine is also made from Savannah grapes, and this wine is also Savannah grapes. But this is in the more conventional way or in the more normal way, where we just get the grapes, press the grapes, put yeast on it, and ferment them. So this is normal white wine, and this is orange wine, but it's the same grape. So this is the point where we're gonna compare the wines to each other and maybe which one you like better. But first, we're just gonna taste the Savannah, and then we're gonna talk about the comparison.
Okay. Would you recommend eating cheese also to red wine?
Yes, we're gonna do this later on.
Okay.
There are some recommendations whether you go for hard cheese and white wine and soft cheese and red wine, or the other way around. But for me, I think it's a question of personal flavor or personal taste. So I don't want to do that strong recommendations. I want the people to try it out.
Okay, yeah.
But for sure, you can compare red wine and cheese. That's why we have a red wine today also in the tasting. Okay, let's go for the Grüner Silvaner. If we put it to the white paper or the lamp, you can see it's a white wine. So it has a light yellowish color, maybe a little bit greenish, I guess. And it's clear. By smelling it, you directly get that it has more acidity than the last wine. It's completely different. It's more fresh. It's more crispy. You maybe have a little bit of green apple, a little bit of lime or citrus. And by tasting it, you directly get way more carbon dioxide on your tongue. So it's a little bit sparkling, even though it's a still wine. And yeah, for me, it's right now more refreshing. And I think it's interesting what you can do with the same grape in two different ways. That's why I choose to do these two wines today. And I'm going to have a little bit of cheese with that. I like the herb cheese. It has a lot of garlic, I guess. What is interesting to know about wine and eating, it always depends on what you have eaten the whole day, because this really influences the way that you perceive wine. For example, if you have really salty food like fries or really heavy food, the wine in the evening tastes completely different than when you had a salad for lunch. So it's always a question of what you've eaten, how you feel today, are you tired, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff really influences your taste and your perceival of the wine. So maybe it's interesting if you get some leftovers tomorrow, go for it and try them maybe on Monday and see if you perceive the wine in a different way. Now talking about the grape Grüner Silvaner, this is a typical German grape. You only get this grape in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and maybe a little bit in New Zealand, but that's all. It's completely original from Germany, and we're famous for this wine. And also the Grüner Silvaner is the most sold wine in our wine estate. You get it in a liter bottle, so it's quite nice. It lasts the whole evening. And it's also a lot of people from hotel and restaurants like to have a liter bottle because it's easier to pour. You get more wine inside. Now, I'm not sure how much German you understand, but we call it Grüner Silvaner. So it means green, like the color, and Silvaner is the name of a grape. It is because there is a difference in Germany. We get red Silvaner, we get blue Silvaner, and we also get green Silvaner. And as we are growing the green Silvaner, sorry about mixing up German and English, we want to stress that it's Grüner Silvaner. That's why it's on the bottle. And also, if you look at our wine list, you see we have the green Silvaner, we have the Pinot Grigio, so Grauer Burgunder, we have the blue Spätburgunder. So we always have the colors of the grape in front of the name, so people have a picture in their mind or in their head how the wine might be a little bit. Now this is the point where we take the second glass and pour a little bit of orange to see how different these two wines are. Here, thank you. So as I said, it's the same grape it's the same area. All these wines are from Aspesheim. This is where our wine estate is. And our vineyards are just around the village. We maybe have 2 kilometers of driving to get to our vineyards. So all this is from the same area. It has the same soil. It has the same weather, the same rain. And there you get 2 completely different wines. And now it's the question, which one do you like better? So maybe you want to type into the chat whether you like number 1 or number 2 better. Number 1 is the orange wine, and number 2 is the Grüne Savannah. I tried to explain a little bit the comparison. So, going for the nose, for me the orange wine is a little bit more round and more smooth, while the Savannah, the Grüne Savannah, is more crispy, more fresh, and maybe a little bit more open. Going for the taste, the orange wine shows strong tannins on your tongue, because all these tannins are also located in the grape skin. So by getting the orange color, you also get tannins into the wine. And later on, you got the smooth and nice flavors, which you also perceived in the nose. You got this vanilla stuff. You got a little bit of dried fruits like dattel.
Dattel.
Or plum, dried plum. Mm-hmm. Oh, I'm talking about dried fruits. Yeah. Let's go for that. Maybe a little bit of almond is also inside. So these are more the dried stuff. And then we go to the Savannah. Which is way more lively or lively on your tongue. You got the carbon dioxide. You got also tannins, but they're different on your tongue. Maybe, I'm not sure if you perceive this, but there's a difference. Because these are, it feels like this. Mm-hmm. And these tannins feel like this, but it's not a good description. Sorry about that. You got, as I said, the green apple. You got the lime. You got the citric fruits. You maybe got also a little bit of herbs. You got a little bit of hay. And I think it's, for me, I like both very much. But I have to be in the mood to drink the orange wine, and I have to be in the mood to drink the Savannah. So it's, for me, a question about how do I feel today? Which wine do I want to drink? So what about you? Which one do you prefer? You prefer that edgy, not usual wine? Or you go for this nicely everyday wine, which you just can sip, 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 and it's pretty nice? And now I'm also going to go for some cheese again. If you need more cheese, please tell me. Because I've been shopping today and was like, okay, I'm going to buy some more cheese. Because I really enjoy. We started doing online wine tastings in November. And we did November, December, January and February normal wine tastings, just drinking wine. And now this is the very first time that we just have some food with us. And I really enjoy that because it's opened up the world of so more flavors. So I really enjoy that. So thank you for being here. Thank you for making this possible. And I hope you also like that.
Benjamin Schwarz is saying the Grüne Savannah for him. More body and more character.
Okay. I guess it's because it's more crispy and you got a little bit more acidity, so you get more body, what he said. Yeah. But as I said, it's no right or wrong because it's always about personal taste and personal flavor. And that's the nice and also the bad thing about wine because everything is right and everything is wrong. And talking about the perceivable of flavors, for example. There's some people who just don't get any flavors because, I don't know, their nose is not educated enough. And there are people who get these really specific flavors, which I can't understand. And there are other people. So it's always depending on who you're talking to and which kind of flavors you perceive it in the final way. So this is now the Brie. Ooh, I like the Brie. It's really nice.
This is not the Brie,
this is the herb one.
This is the herb one.
The garlic one.
Yeah.
That's a good, nice. talking a little bit about food pairing in general. As you might know, asparagus season is going to start in, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks. And the Grüne Savana, so our wine number 2, is the perfect wine for combining with asparagus, just for your information. But if you're not too much into asparagus, we can also go for a nice salad, for example, or some lighter dish. Maybe a little bit of fish or some vegetables, but no heavy dishes. Looking at the orange wine, you can go for a little bit more heavy dishes, as the wine is a little bit heavier because of the tannins. So this would be for maybe pasta with cheese, or maybe mac and cheese. I could think about that. And also maybe some meat dishes. But usually if you go for meat or really heavy meat, for red meat, then you should go for a red wine. But this one, the orange wine, is okay with a light meat dish, with a heavy cheese dish, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So finishing up our glasses, do we have any more questions right now?
Not till now.
Okay, then for me, I'd say let's go into the first break. Maybe you get some sparkling water, maybe go whatever you want to do. We're going to be back in about 8 minutes and then continue with the Pinot Grigio semi-dry and with the Liebfrauenmilch. So, see you in 8 minutes.
Yeah, see you then.
Wir hatten die Veranstaltung Wild auf Wein. Das heißt, 10 Influencer aus dem Jagdbereich und aus dem Nicht-Jagdbereich haben sich bei uns im Weingut in Rheinhessen getroffen, mit dem Ziel, Wild und Wein kennenzulernen, das Weinbaugebiet Rheinhessen näher kennenzulernen und natürlich auch, was Jagd bedeutet und Jagd gemeinsam erleben. Man konnte sich erstmal ein bisschen kennenlernen, weil die meisten kannten sich nicht untereinander. Und anschließend haben wir eine Weinbergswanderung gemacht.
Ich bin hier auf dem quasi Event Wild auf Wein, weil ich in erster Linie gar keine Ahnung von Wein habe und so ein bisschen interessiert war und was über Wein lernen und wissen wollte. Und in der Kombination mit Wild ist das, finde ich, eine optimale Sache.
Ich habe mich super gefreut über die Einladung, weil ich gehört habe, dass nette Leute hier sind, die ich schon kenne, teilweise noch nicht kenne und ein schönes Wochenende erleben wollte. Ich bin eingeladen worden über Instagram und ich habe die Einladung dann angenommen, weil ich es ganz interessant finde, wer hinter den ganzen Blogs steckt und dass man auch mal die ganzen Leute dahinter kennenlernt und nicht immer nur über Instagram die Bilder sieht.
Unsere 10 Besucher hatten dann abends die Möglichkeit, gemeinsam auf den Ansitz zu gehen, jeweils ein Jäger und ein Nichtjäger, um dort das Niederwild der Region, aber auch die Chance auf Schweine ein bisschen kennenzulernen und halt die Jagd gemeinsam zu erleben.
Am besten gefallen hat mir tatsächlich gestern der Abendansitz mit einer Nichtjägerin zusammen, die total interessiert war, engagiert, der ich vieles erzählen konnte, die viel nachgefragt hat. Ja, das zu zeigen, was man quasi lebt und das anderen Leuten mitzugeben.
Der Samstagmorgen begann dann wieder mit einem Ansitz, morgens um 5 Uhr. Das war ein bisschen früh zum Aufstehen, aber das haben alle geschafft. Dann ging es ins Weltkulturerbe Mittelrheintal nach Bingen am Rhein, wo wir einen Feldornithologen getroffen haben, um dort dann die Vögel in den Rheinauen zu bewundern und zu beobachten. Auch der Terroirgedanke hat bei unserer Veranstaltung eine wichtige Rolle gespielt, weil jeder Boden hat gewisse Eigenschaften, die die Rebe mit den Nährstoffen aus dem Boden in sich aufnimmt und so auch letztendlich im Wein landet. Das heißt, in jeder Region hat man einen speziellen Geschmack, einen speziellen Wein, der auch aufgrund des Bodens dort entsteht.
Ich finde die Regionalität der Produkte sehr wichtig, weil ich möchte wissen, wo die Produkte herkommen, wie die hergestellt worden sind, wer hinter dem Namen steckt. Jetzt habe ich den Namen Reis Luff kennengelernt und jetzt weiß ich, wer dahinter steckt und das finde ich dann ganz interessant. Und dann gibt das Ganze nochmal ein bisschen mehr persönlichen Flair.
Wild auf Wein. Ich glaube, ich würde es jetzt öfter kombinieren. Also ich würde tatsächlich öfter zu einem Braten oder einer Keule, einem Steak ein schönes Glas Wein trinken.
Heute Nachmittag hatten wir dann ein Wild-Zerwirk-Seminar, wo wir gemeinsam einen Bock zerlegt haben. Den haben wir jetzt zu Hackfleisch verarbeitet und machen später daraus Burger-Patties, um gemeinsam Hamburger zu essen. Frei nach dem Motto Wild auf Wein, wo wir das erlegte Wild mit dem Wein vor Ort kombinieren. Natürlich haben wir als Weingut die Veranstaltung nicht alleine gestemmt. Erst dank verschiedener Sponsoren war es möglich, das Event zu dem zu machen, was es jetzt war.
Ja, es gab für jeden Teilnehmer so eine schöne Geschenkekiste, als wir nach hier gekommen sind. Und da waren Messer von Dick, RWS und Leica drin, Magazine von Halali, T-Shirts von Truewoods, Gewürze von Spice World.
Das Wochenende für mich war super erlebnisreich. Ich habe super tolle Leute kennengelernt und viele schöne, spannende Momente erlebt auf dem Ansitz und auch drumherum neue Themen für mich entdecken dürfen, wie zum Beispiel den Wein. Und ja, einfach eine richtig gute Zeit gehabt.
Das Wochenende zusammengefasst war wirklich grandios. Also wir haben uns alle super verstanden, wir hatten ganz tolle Momente, egal ob auf dem Morgenansitz oder am Abendansitz, beim Kochen oder bei unseren Wanderungen. Also zusammengefasst war es wirklich rundum gelungen.
Hi and welcome back. I just need to get our wines and then we're going to continue.
Okay.
Nine. So there we go with our next two wines. We're gonna continue with the Pinot Gris, but before we do that, wait, sorry about that.
Okay.
We have the break movie, I would call it, and I totally forgot to tell you, YouTube got a subtitle possibility. So you just can turn on the subtitles, and nowadays it's pretty good, so you just can get a translation into English. For the second break, you just can turn this on, and then you can read the stuff we're talking about. And in the break, you saw a short movie about our event, which we have on the wine estate, which is in German called Wild auf Wein, or we could translate it like Wild on Wine, which is about hunting and wine, where we combine those two things. In 2018 and 2019, before COVID-19, we invited some people, some hunters and some influencers, just to meet up and get to know the area of Rheinhessen, where the wine estate is located, and to get to know our hunting area, where we hunt in, and to see some roebucks and pheasants and hare and rabbits. And we did some cooking, and yeah, we just combined this. And as I'm also a huntress, not professional, but he's the professional one, and I like to inform the people and show them that there are so many possibilities to combine wild game and wine. So this was the movie about, but the second one is also going to be about the event in 2019. So put your subtitles on, and then you might understand it. As I said, I'm not sure how much German you understand. That's why I just want to inform you about that. And now we're going to continue with our third wine, which is the Pinot Grigio, or in German, Grauer Burgunder, semi-dry. So let me just smell which one is the Silvaner and which one is the orange wine glass, because I'm going to put away my orange wine glass. So also for you, maybe you can use a fresh glass or go for your Silvaner glass, not for the orange one, because the orange wine glass is really heavy in taste now. So we're going to go for the other one. So there you can see the difference. It's again from the Reis Luff basic line. So you got the sun, which is our logo or our emblem. I'm not sure if this is an English word. As our wine estate is located at the Sun Hill, we use the sun as the brand sign. And Reis is the family name of my father and my family name, and Luff, so the second name, is my grandparents' name. So it's a combination of our two families. Going to Pinot Grigio, I'm going to continue with the English name Pinot Grigio. It's all rounder. It's the most famous wine, I guess, worldwide, which is perfectly fitting to a lot of food. And generally talking, you get two different styles. You got this really heavy California style, where you got the Pinot Grigio, which you put into barrels, and it's really vanilla and, as I said, really heavy. And then you got those more European style, which is a little bit more fresh and more crispy. And this is what we are going for. So this is a really fresh and light white wine, which is perfectly fitting for hot summer days, sitting on your balcony or your garden and just enjoying this wine. So we start with the color. For me, it's a little bit lighter than the last wine, and it's a light yellowish color. You do not have the green stuff, the greenish stuff in it. It's just light and maybe a little bit pale, but in a positive way. Smelling it, today I receive a little bit of bread, like toasted bread. Normally I don't do this, but today I smell the bread. So this is what I was talking about the personal taste once a day. By tasting it, you get also a little bit of carbon dioxide, but it's a little bit lower than the wine before. And you get a really full-bodied wine, even though it's a fresh and crispy wine. Yeah, for me it's a really nice, refreshing summer wine. And as you might know, in our area, which is called Rheinhessen, it's quite common to take a big glass for 400 milliliters and mix some Schorle, or Schoppen, that's the German word for it, It's half sparkling water and half wine. So you get the really nice wine taste, but you get also the refreshing part of the sparkling water. And this is something we really enjoy in summer days. And this is a nice wine for doing it. Yeah, and I'm going for the name. As you can read on the label, the German word for it is Grauer Burgunder. And in English, usually I think it's Pinot Grigio, but it can also be Pinot Gris. And if you translate it, it all means the same, because Pinot means Burgunder, and Grigio means grey, and grey means Grau on the other way in German. So you got this Pinot family, which is also Pinot Noir and Pinot Blanc. And let me think about, there's another one. I don't get it. But I'm talking about the Pinot family. So we got Pinot Grigio, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc. Oh, and the German variety, which is early Pinot translated, which is number 4 in the family. And then we got the completely weird one, which is Chardonnay, which also belongs to the Pinot family, even though you don't get it in the name. And that's why, in terms of flavor, Chardonnay and Pinot Grigio is quite close together. So Chardonnay and Pinot Grigio is the all-rounder for food pairing.
Okay.
Now talking about, in the first part, we only had dry wines. So we are working according to the German wine law. And we, if we want to write down dry on a wine, we have to make sure that there's not too much sugar in the wine, because it's only allowed to have between 0 grams per liter and about 7 grams per liter sugar in the wine to call it dry. Everything above 7 grams is called semi-dry. So this wine has, you got the cards back home, I do not have the card here. I think it's 17 grams of sugar per liter. So it's a little bit more sweeter. And it depends on your taste whether you prefer a dry wine or a semi-dry wine. It's just a question of taste. But chemically spoken, sugar gives the wine some more flavor, because the flavor can bind to the sugar, and then you perceive it way more intensive on your tongue. So if you go for a sweeter wine, or for example a semi-dry wine, you always get more flavors than with a dry wine. But as I said, it's always a question of taste, because in Germany some people do feel kind of ashamed by drinking sweet wine, because they say only wine lovers and wine experts drink dry wine and non-experts drink sweet wine. But for me, no, that's completely wrong, because wine should give you joy and wine should make fun. So it's about what you like and what you want to drink. So never care about what other people say. You have to like the wine. And if you like sweet wine, go for it.
Do you have a special wine for Easter?
Yeah, kind of. As I said, the asparagus season starts with Easter usually in Germany. And we have the Silvaner, the one we tasted before, which is perfectly fitting. But if you're not that much the Silvaner type of person, the Pinot Grigio would be my number 2 choice to go with asparagus. Now thinking about Easter, is some kind of special meal for Easter?
I don't know, actually.
I know we got the Thursday before Easter.
Yeah.
There it's normal to eat spinach, spinat. And then we have the Friday before Easter, where it's normal to eat fish. Okay. So this one would go nicely with fish also. Then we got Saturday, Easter Saturday, and then we got Easter Sunday. But seriously, I'm not sure if there's any special meal for Easter Sunday.
No, I don't know, actually.
You neither, okay.
No, we don't have any special meals for Easter, actually.
Yeah, same here.
No.
But talking about the season of Easter, it's starting to get warmer, it's starting to be spring. It's asparagus season, go for Silvaner, go for Pinot Grigio. They can be dry, they can be semi-dry, but this fits perfectly.
We've got a question. How much is one bottle of this?
To be honest, you gotta go to our online shop. It's www.reis minus or hyphen luff.de. There you can find the online shop, but I think it's about €5.10 a bottle. It's something about €5. But check the online shop, there you can find the real price. And also if you're interested in having this wine, you just can order it, or you just can write me an email. So you got my contact data on your tasting sheets and so on. So just write me an email, we can send it to you. Or I can come to Wiesbaden and bring it to you. It's not that far away.
I can also type in the link of your website in the next break.
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's
So
a
then
nice idea.
So then you can just click on it and then you're on the website.
Yeah, you can also do it now because they're...
Okay.
Yeah, it's www.reis-luff.de. I already got some emails a few days ago that some people are a bit confused by using our shop because it's in German. So it's completely alright just to write me an email, and we can do also the ordering
Like this?
by email. Let me check. reis-luff.de. Yeah, that's good. And we're also going to put the shop into the link in the break.
Okay.
Yeah. Today we have 6 wines, but talking about our wine in general, we have about 25 wines. So usually we have a dry version and a semi-dry version. Sometimes we also have a sweet version. And then you got the wines from my line. We get sparkling wine, we get grape juice. So usually you can find a wine or a drink for every taste in our wine estate. To explain you a little bit more about our wine estate, as I said, we are located in Rheinhessen. This is the biggest wine growing area in Germany, which is next to the Rhine River. So the borders are next to the Rhine River. And the Rhine River is the warmest area which we have in Germany. And because of this warmness, it's a perfect place to grow grapes. Because we have in day, we have a lot of sun, we have warmth. And at night, the temperature is going down. And because of this difference between day and night, the aroma in the wines is getting pretty good. And on the other hand side, we have not that much rain, which is also good for the health of the grapes. Our wine estate itself, we have about 20 hectares. I know the United States got way bigger wine estates, but for Germany comparison, 20 hectares is medium sized. So we're not really small and we're not really big, we're something in between. We are family owned, so it's my mother doing office and sendings. It's my father doing the vineyards. It's me doing marketing, sales, wine fairs. And it's my sister's husband. He's also doing the vineyards. And also my grandparents, which are 79 and 83. They are still doing some vineyards with their handwork. That's pretty nice to see. And depending on the time for harvest and for some manual work, I just have some friends helping me out. So this is the way we work back home. And yeah, what else could I say? We got 2 lines. We got the Reis Luff basic line. We got my line, which is called by Shanna because it's my first name. And yeah, right now some wines are sold out because we didn't bottle enough. And we're going to bottle the new vintage in May 2021 and also in June 2021. And then everything will be available, plus new wine from my line, which is a Savannah. So another Savannah because I really like Savannah, which is aged in a wooden barrel in those small ones of 300 liters. So it has this really oaky kind of style. I know that some people really don't like it, but for me and for my taste, I really like it. That's why I want to have a wine like this in my line. Now turning over to the cheese, maybe you can pass me your plate.
Yeah, sure.
As I said, I got some more cheese. So we have here, it's goat cheese. I give you a piece of goat cheese. Oop, voila. Then we have this one. I forgot the name. Here we have some, is it hay? Hoi?
Hay?
Yeah, I
hay.
think hay. Mm-hmm. So this is some hay cheese. I really like hay cheese. Mm-hmm. And this is another kind of hay cheese.
Okay.
So there you go. You can try to combine it a little bit with wine and also gonna get some pieces for me.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a nice thing about wine. It's not about just drink. So it's about talking about the wine and how you like the wine and how you can just pair it with something and a little bit eating and having a good time with your people or with your friends. That's what it's all about. And even though we now get COVID-19 and it's not possible to meet all of our friends, we said, okay, let's do some online wine tasting, because this is the possibility to get people together, to do something nice together, to enjoy some time together, and yeah, just have some kind of break out of this everyday life, of this lockdown life, which is, for me, really hard, because we're living in a lockdown for November, December, January, February, March, 5 months now. And we had a kind of strange summer. We had no music festivals, no wine festivals. I really enjoy going to wine fairs, being there with our wine estate and talking to our customers. And my last wine fair was in February 2020. So it's just, I'm a little bit heartbroken. I'm happy to, at some point going back to this place where we can have some wine fairs and everything. And this is why I'm working at the vaccine center right now. So I'm part of fighting COVID and doing the vaccine at people. You're looking at the computer? Is there anything?
We've got 2 new questions.
Okay, tell me.
The first question is this Grauer Burgunder ever paired regularly with fruits?
So if I would pair this Pinot Grigio with fruits, I would go for a fruit with a low acidity. So maybe banana could be alright. But generally spoken, for me it's quite hard to pair a semi-dry or dry wine with a fruit, because the fruit has a lot of sugar. And if you get a lot of sugar, you need a partner with also a lot of sugar. So that's why I said, let's go maybe for a banana. But can you imagine some other fruits with low acidity? Maybe a ripe pear. This could be alright.
Yeah.
But that's all I can imagine right now. Sorry. Maybe a really ripe apple. We can go maybe for a fruit salad with not that much sugar and really which is soaked a little bit. So it's not a fresh fruit salad, maybe for 2 hours soaking with a little bit of nuts in it. This could be alright. But for my recommendation, as soon as you go to fruits or to dessert, I would go for a sweeter wine.
Okay. And also the second question, are you a sommelier? What is a sommelier?
That's the problem by eating cheese and talking.
Yeah, that's the problem. Do you have to have any kind of certificate to be a sommelier?
Yeah, that's true. So if you want to be a sommelier, you have to go to a special education center. In Germany, it's called Internationale Handelskammer, or IHK, IHK. And there you pay about 4,000 euros to get this education, or more, I don't know. And they just learn how to perceive flavors and how to pair those flavors. For me, as I said, I studied international wine business. It was part of my studies to do this. So I also had this, I learned how to perceive flavors, how to combine flavors. And this is what I also continued in my master studies. And besides my university stuff, I also did some seminars, some education on wine and food pairing. So I'm also German, not wine educator, but wine consultant. Yeah, I'm German wine consultant. This is another title which I got. So this is why I'm also a lot into food pairing and all that stuff. And for German winemakers, there's a lot of possibilities to gain knowledge, because this topic of combining food and how to put wine in the right spotlight is really important to bring the wine to the people. So this is why we had a lot of education. So I'm not a sommelier, but I know quite a lot about this topic. And I think we should continue with the next wine.
Yeah, okay.
So we put down the Pinot Grigio and now go to my very favorite label, the Liebfraumilch. Yeah, as you can see, it's not the Reis Luff basic line. It's a way more colorful label. It's from my line. And I guess some of you have heard about that name, Liebfraumilch. Yeah, I can show it to you also.
Okay.
Yeah, see, it is an old label which
Yeah.
we use for wine trading to England and to Russia. And I really, really like that label. So I said, okay, let's adapt it to nowadays. That's why the girl is having some tattoos and looking a bit more modern. And yeah, as I said, I love this label. That's why it's here.
Okay.
Yeah. Some of you might know the term Liebfraumilch. Liebfraumilch is not a grape varietal. You can turn it off, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a cuvée, so it's a mix or a blend of different typical German grape varietals. It is only allowed to be of some areas of Germany. It has to have a specific kind of sugar amount in the wine. And yeah, there's some more laws in the German wine law, or some more regulations in the German wine law, and you have to fulfill them, and then you're allowed to put on the name Liebfraumilch. But first, let's taste it, and then we're going to talk about it. Yeah, looking at the light, or maybe here, it's still a light yellow, because it's still a young wine. When a wine gets older, the color goes darker or more orange, but for young wine, it should look like that. And smelling the wine, we have a nice and also fresh and crispy flavor. A small hint of fruits. And let's taste it. It's a full mouth of sweet fruits, I guess, for me. So you directly get that there's more sweetness in it than in the wine before. You get a full mouth of sugar, but in a positive way. And a little bit of acidity and a little bit of carbon dioxide. Is there a question?
Yeah, we've got a question. What is the milk content of this wine?
Okay. Just give me a minute for the cheese.
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna go for a sip of wine and cheese. So, talking about Liebfraumilch, or the term of Liebfraumilch, it has nothing to do with milk. Nothing. There's no milk inside the wine. It's a completely different story. About 50-60 kilometers away from here, there is a church. And this church is called Liebfrauenkirche. So it means Liebfrauen Church. Same word than the wine. And right behind the church was a garden, or a vineyard. Or in this garden, we're growing wines. And all the grapes from this vineyard, right behind the church, were called Liebfrauenmilch wine, or Liebfrauenmilch. And this was a really famous and really expensive and really great wine. And because it was so great, the city where this church is decided all the wine from the city can be called like that, Liebfraumilch. And it was so nice and so successful and so popular that at some point they said, okay, it's not only the wine from a city, but it's the wine from a big area. But it still was so famous and so successful, and really in export it was really successful, that at some point the German wine law decided, okay, this is a fixed term. This fixed term is called Liebfraumilch, which means like lovely women's milk, translated somehow.
Yeah.
And nowadays it has to be from the area of Rheinhessen, so where we are, the area of Nahe, which is our neighbor area, the area of Rheingau, which is also the neighbor area where you are located in Wiesbaden, and the area of Pfalz, which is also the next wine growing area. So we got 4 wine growing areas which are allowed to produce Liebfraumilch. And because the wine was so nice and really drank a lot, it was really popular on export. So a lot of this wine went to Russia, to the United Kingdom, and to the United States. And in the 80s and 90s, we had, I can't tell you how much, but it was like such an amount of wine going abroad because of Liebfraumilch. And because it was so successful, a lot of people were start doing shit with the wine. So they started to get bad wine out of the country under the name of Liebfraumilch. And at some point, the people abroad in UK, USA, and in Russia started to get this. Like, ooh, this wine used to be nice, but nowadays it's not nice. And the export numbers and the selling numbers or the sales numbers declined. And they declined. They went worse, completely worse. And at some point, this product and this name of Liebfraumilch died. And about 5 years ago, some young winemakers in Germany said, okay, in the core, it was a really nice product. It was a really, really nice product. So we tried to go back to this core and try to go back to this really nice and fruity, easy drinking wine and try to reproduce it. And now, putting the story to an end, in my bachelor thesis, I decided to talk about Liebfraumilch. So the topic of my bachelor thesis was Liebfraumilch. And after finishing my bachelor thesis, I thought, okay, let's do a Liebfraumilch. And this is why we have nowadays Liebfraumilch in our wine list. And yeah, as I said, it was a nice product, then it went down, and then some people decided to go back to the origins, back to the roots, and do a nice Liebfraumilch. And I said, yeah, let's do this because I think it's a great idea. I love the label, I love this wine, and I hope you like it too.
From which grape is this made?
It's not made from one grape.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cuvée or blend
Okay.
from typical German grapes. So the law says it has to be from this or that grape to 75%, and 25% can be your choice. So for us, it's Riesling, it's Savannah, and we put in a little bit of Hochsellrebe, which is not in the list, but can be the 25% of something else. And it's a decision of every winemaker, or each and every winemaker, to decide which blend you want to do. So it's a really personal thing how the Liebfraumilch of a winemaker tastes.
Okay.
Yeah. And this is a nice wine. As I said, it's easy drinking. It's not too dry, it's not too sweet, it's something nicely in between. It's a little bit fruity, but not too much. And if you got your friend over and you're not sure what they want to drink, this, because it's right in the middle,
Okay.
it's quite nice. And I go for a little bit of cheese with the wine. You should do the same. This is the goat cheese. I can
I just
taste it.
Yeah, you really taste it. Yeah.
It looks like the brie, but completely different. So what does the community say? Are they happy about the wine?
Liebfraumilch has no vintage because it's a cuvée.
Liebfraumilch has no vintage because it's not allowed by the German wine law. I think it's completely stupid. And I can tell you it's a 2018 vintage, but I'm not allowed to put it on the label. Because, as I said, there's something like German wine law, and they tell you it's not allowed to put a vintage on Liebfraumilch. It is because of this former times where the big wineries just put everything together and said, oh yeah, this is Liebfraumilch. And so it was way more easy for them just to put no vintage on it. But for me, as this is now a quality product, I know the vintage, I know the grapes, where it comes from. So I could tell you everything, and I could put the vintage on, but it's not allowed. Yeah, what else can we say about Liebfraumilch? Let me think about this. Yeah, as I said, we did some wine export to Russia, and a lot of these Liebfraumilch labels have this woman with a baby child, which should remind of Maria, because in original it's wine from a church, so it all fits a little bit together. And I adapted this label for a little bit more modern way. So we have the ladies still with a baby, but with a little bit more wild hair and with a little bit tattoos. Yeah, it's, as I said, it's my wine line, so I try to reflect a little bit of stuff that I like onto these labels because I wanted to express myself in terms of wine, I guess. Yeah. But talking a little bit about wine estate, I told you already that we have my mother, my father, my sister's husband, and my grandparents working in the wine estate. But I got a sister. So the big question is, what is she doing? And that's quite nice for the times after COVID. My sister's having a hotel right in the next village to a wine estate. So what we do, or what we like to do, is having some wine events, like doing wine walking. We do a little bit of tasting, a little bit of eating, and do a hike from a wine estate to my sister's hotel, about 6 to 10 kilometers, where you have a nice day, where you can have some wines. You get to know the area, because our area is really beautiful. And then you can sleep at my sister's hotel. So we try to do a mix and match, or combine some stuff which we do together, because we're a family. And yeah, just for your information, if you're interested in, at some point maybe COVID comes to an end, then we can do that. I would be happy about it. I really like that cheese.
Yeah, the goat cheese is very intense.
But I'm really happy about the choice of cheese. I'm a bit disappointed about the cheddar, but in general everything fits nicely with the wine. Hey, question to you. So going back to the recipe, did any one of you do the recipe of Spundekäse? Did you like to combine the Spundekäse with the wine till now? And yeah, still asking for pictures. I want to see what you're doing back home. Because I know some wine tastings are going via Zoom, but we decided, especially for the English ones, that we're not using Zoom, because then we would be sitting here and maybe don't understand you. That's why the typing way is the better way.
Is there any difference between the term lieblich and süß?
Good question, because this wine right now is called lieblich.
Yeah.
And there is no English translation for this, but it's really important. If you want to go out and buy some wine, you should know the difference between lieblich and sweet or süß. Because it's a question of the residual sugar. As I said, you get the dry wine, which has about 0 to 7 grams of sugar per liter. Then we have the semi-dry wine, which is between 7 and I have to look up where. So it's the medium part. And then we go for lieblich. This is the term I'm not able to translate into English. But lieblich is above semi-dry. And as soon as a wine has more than 48 grams of sugar per liter, it's not called lieblich any longer, it's called sweet. So if you're a really sweet kind of person and you want to have sweet wine, you have to look for süß. That's the term you're looking for. Because if you're going for lieblich, lieblich is like the Frauenmilch. It has a little bit more of sugar, but it's not like sugar exploding.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the difference.
What is your favorite spot to drink wine?
Okay, I was living in Bingen, so it's the biggest city in this area, Bingen am Rhein, where Hildegard from Bingen comes from. And Bingen is located next to the River Rhine. So in the last 8 years, I really, really loved to go to the Rhine River. We got this really nice park area there and just sit down and have a bottle of wine or maybe some beers. So this is what I really enjoyed. And also last year, after the first lockdown, when the restaurants were allowed to open, we decided, okay, we're not going to drink just somewhere in the park area. We're going to support the local dealers. We're going to go there and pay our money that they were able to survive. And I really, really enjoyed the time. We was just sitting next to the Rhine River, having this beautiful view to the Mäuseturm, which is a local site. You get this direction Mainz, and it was just like incredible, lovely. And this is the place where I really enjoy to drink. But right now, we're still in a lockdown, so drinking is mostly in our living room back home with 1 or 2 friends, and that's all. So yeah, as I said, I'm waiting for it to get warmer, and then we're gonna go for nicer spaces.
We've got a comment. Spundekäse is good with orange wine and the Liebfraumilch.
Okay. That's a clear decision. Thank you for that. Good. But back to the point. If you don't have any questions concerning the Liebfrauenmilch or anything, then I would go for the second break. And just a short reminder for you, please try to put on your subtitles, then you can understand what we're talking about, or maybe your German is good enough. I'm not informed, so maybe you can tell me if you're good in speaking German or not. Would be interesting to hear.
As far as I know, on the top right of your screen, there's a little button that says CC. And if you press on that, then the subtitles should be on. So that you know.
That's a good information. Thank you for that.
Okay.
Okay. See you in 8 minutes.
Yeah, see you. Welcome back.
Hello! So, welcome back to the last round. We're now going to the sweet white and the semi-dry red. But yeah, let's start with that one. This is the Huxelrebe, that's the German term for it. Some people call it Haxelrebe, but the right word is Huxel. So, let's pour it in.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Before we taste the wine, as I said, we're now going to the sweet section. So the Haxe or Huxelrebe has about 48 grams of sugar per liter, so it's a really sweet wine. It's a dessert wine, but this sweet taste or this sweet flavor fits perfectly to cheese, because then we're going back to this one, to the mustard, to the sweet mustard, which is also a sweet taste, which fits nicely or pairs nicely with the cheese. And we got the same flavors here. And if you turn the bottle around, you see the wine label. It's the white one here in the back. And you see here on the upper left, the alcohol. It only has 9.5% of alcohol. Maybe you ask yourself, why is it that way? Why isn't it stronger? And now going back to the chemical parts of producing wine. As I said, we have grape juice and we put yeast on this grape juice. And the yeast is doing out of the sugar alcohol. And now imagine you got this much sugar and then you got the yeast, and the yeast is eating the sugar and then producing alcohol, and the alcohol is going up. But if you want to have a sweet wine, you need to have sugar, so the alcohol is lower. This is why dry wines are usually higher in alcohol than sweet wines. And if you're at the supermarket and completely confused about all those wine labels and you want to have a dry wine or you want to have a sweet wine, you just have to look for the alcohol level. Because if you have an alcohol level about 10% of alcohol, then you're going to have a sweet wine. And if you have maybe 11.5, 12 or 13%, you're going to have a dry wine. So, let's taste that one. Oh, yeah, you're doing the right way. I was about, oh. Yeah, so looking at the color, it's still light yellowish, but it's a little bit deeper than the Pinot Gris we had before, and also a little bit deeper than we had the Liebfraumilch before. Smelling, you really smell it. It's softer in the nose. It's not that high in acidity, or you do not perceive the acidity that high. And you can swirl it a little bit, because also swirling the wine, if you're not too confident with it, do it on a table. You can swirl it, because then you're having a bigger surface, and the surface can react with the oxygen, and you get more aroma. And then you can smell the difference. And then, yeah, for me it's just a nice dessert in the mouth. Nice fluid dessert.
It's quite sweet, is it?
It is. Because looking at our tasting cards here, looking at the Liebfraumilch, which we had before, it has 28.5 grams of sugar. And now we have 48.
Okay.
So it's nearly double the amount of sugar. So you really can taste the difference. And yeah, talking about Huxelrebe, it's again a typical German grape, which you nearly only can find in Germany. It's a really traditional grape, which is perfectly adapted to our climate, because this grape needs the difference between day hotness and night coldness. So the aromas which you get in this wine, the flowery and fruity aromas, you only get because it's hot in the day and cold in the night. They have a really, really sensitive skin, so we're taking a lot of work to keep these grapes healthy. We're putting away the leaves, so we de-leaf the wines, so that the grape is just hanging there in the sun, being dry, so that we do not get any fungus on the grape. Then in some years we try to cut a little bit of the grapes, so we have a fewer berries, and these fewer berries are higher in sugar and higher in aroma. And for us in the wine estate, it's really, really important to keep this grape varietal. It is really suffering because of the climate warming, So the last 3 years of really, really hot summers and not cold nights are really difficult for this grape varietal. But we wanted to keep it because it's traditional. And going back to a wine estate, for me or for us, it's important to show the characteristics of German wines. So we mostly have typical German grape varietals like Riesling and Silvaner, Pinot Grigio, Huxelrebe, Rivaner. These are the whites. And going to the reds, we have Dornfelder, which is also a typical German red grape, Pinot Noir, and then we have some exotic stuff like Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. But in general, I want to express the typical German stuff because it's nice to export this to the world, to show the world what we can do here with our climate, with our soil. And this is something which you can't just copy somewhere.
Is there a certain kind of American wine that's very popular there?
For my experience, the Chardonnay, which I was talking about, Chardonnay is a typical US wine varietal, and putting this Chardonnay grape into the wooden barrel, in the oak barrel, and then having this really full-bodied and strong wine with this oaky flavors, this is for me, for my opinion, typical United States. But it's not only because the wine world in the United States is really big and really, really good. You also have Riesling, which is also typical German, you get in the United States. And then going for red wines, they can do their thing.
Okay.
But you always have to see the difference because we have the new world and the old world of winemaking. You got Europe as a traditional winemaking area, where the wine estates are organically grew. So you got a small family starting the business and then growing a little bit. And then you maybe have 5 hectares of wine or maybe 10 hectares. The biggest German private wine estate is 250 hectares, so it's quite small. And then you have the New World, which United States, Chile, Australia, New Zealand, all these countries belong to the New World. And they just started from zero, and they started going big, directly going big. They do not start as a small wine estate, they just go big. And the 20 hectares which we have in Germany are just like, we don't care because it's so small. I worked in New Zealand last year, and the wine estate I was working for had 350 hectares of wine. So you see a difference. So in Germany, everything is smaller, and then you go to the New World and everything is really big and really more efficient, more industrialized. And so you get 2 different kinds of wines. I don't want to decide which is better because both are interesting, and it's always nice to see the difference between those countries.
We've also got a new question from the community. What would you pair the Huxelrebe with?
As I said, this is a dessert wine. So, yes, you can pair it with cheese because the sweetness and the cheese perfectly fit together. But this would be the wine going for fruits, because there was a question of fruits, for example, and going for dessert. So, if you want to pair wine with fruit in terms of sweetness, you go sweet plus sweet is perfect. So, if you want to have a panna cotta or a pudding, I'm not sure about the English word, sorry about that, but everything sweet in the finish could be nice. I wouldn't go that much for chocolate, because if you want to go for a chocolate dessert, I would go for a red sweet wine, but everything which is with a little bit of vanilla should fit perfectly to the Huxelrebe.
Okay. Is there a certain time when you bottle your wines?
Usually, if you look at the German wine industry in a whole, we harvest the wines in the grapes in September, and then in October or November we have the first young wines. And if you're really in a hurry because you need the wines, you could or you can bottle the wines in December, so you can have the new vintage for Christmas. But we decided not to do that because wine is a natural product, so it needs time to mature and it needs time to age a little bit. And this is why we decided to keep the wine in the cellar, in the tanks, for the whole winter time, and wait till it gets warmer. Because as soon as it gets warmer, the status of the wine changes. If you got maybe wine stone, the wine stone falls out in the tank. And it's better to fall out in the tank than in your bottle back home. So we go for bottling in May or June. So it's quite late compared to other wine estates, but it's a specific decision. As we said, we want to bottle a product which we taste here in our wine estate and say, okay, this tastes exactly the way we want to have it, and it's stable. And then we bottle it, and then we put it to you in your private wine cellar, because we do not want the product to change that much. And if you bottle a wine in December, you can be sure it will be changing.
Okay.
This might be interesting for some people, but for us, we want to have the quality which we have in the wine estate also in your cellar.
Actually, what is wine stone?
Now it's getting difficult. So you got wine. In wine, you got different types of acidity. This is a chemical thing, and you got let me think about this a minute. You get apple acidity, you get wine acidity, you get citric acidity, and you get malolactic, so milk acidity. And this wine acidity, if you have this in the wine, as soon as the wine matures, and if the wine acidity is quite high, this sometimes happens, this wine acidity crystallized and falls down.
Okay.
And you got this also sometimes in your wine bottle. It's no problem. It doesn't change the taste of the wine. It's just a normal, natural chemical reaction. But as we know that some people are not too keen on having these stones or these crystals in their wine bottles, we try to have this in our cellar, because then we just can put it out of the tank and put it away.
Okay.
So it's a chemical reaction of dropping out wine acidity.
Okay. Do you also make ice wine?
We did. We're back at global warming. So as I said, here in the Rhine area, we are one of the warmest areas in Germany, or we are the warmest area in Germany. So we have the problem, it's not getting cold. And just short about the process of making ice wine. You grow your grapes, and then it's September and the grapes are ripe. And usually you harvest them in September. But if you want to have ice wine, you got to leave them on the vine. You put some nets over it, so the birds can't eat the grapes or the berries. And then you have to wait. And you have to wait and wait and wait till the day when we have -7 degrees Celsius. And for me and the last, I don't know how many years, we had once or twice -7 degrees. So it's always a big financial risk for a winemaker to say, let's do some ice wine. And for us, we decided it's not worth the hassle, because it's always a little bit like playing poker. You don't know whether you're gonna have ice wine.
It's a big risk.
Yeah, or you just have to throw away the grapes.
Okay.
So that's why we're not having ice wine since 1998, I guess. But as I know that there's a lot of people who really enjoy the taste of ice wine. In my line, we have a really, really sweet wine, which has about 100 grams of sugar, which is called Riesling Noble Sweet, which is comparable to ice wine. So this is our alternative, as we are not able to do ice wine in our area on a frequent way.
Okay.
And talking about these -7 degrees, it's really like that. You get to tell the German government, hi, I'm a winemaker, I want to do ice wine. And they note it down. And they're going to control you whether you really had -7 degrees. Because you're only allowed to do ice wine at that point where we have -7 degrees. So everything is really, really strict controlled. And yeah, we're not keen on having this risk. So we decided not to do it.
Okay. Actually, how many different kinds of grapes do you grow?
Talking about the grape varietals in our wine estate, we do have about 60% of white wine and 40% of reds, because for me personally, Germany is a white wine country. but there are a lot of people who enjoy red wine, so we're also doing red wine. And we do the typical German grapes. We get mostly Sylvaner and Riesling. These are the big two ones. Then we have Hochsel, which we have here. Rivana. Let me think about it. Pinot Grigio. And I guess these are the 5 white grapes. And then we have Dornfelder, Pinot Noir, and Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot as red wines. And as I said before, we do have one grape, but we do a sweet version, a semi-sweet version, and also a dry version, so everyone can find the perfect wine for its taste.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and now talking about red wine, I'd say let's change to the red section. So we put away the Hochsel, and now we can go back to our big decanter, which Tim filled in the beginning of the evening.
Yes.
I'm always a bit scared to ruin my clothes. So this now is the Pinot Noir semi-dry. You can put this on, the name.
Yeah, oh yeah, you're right. Would you recommend to put the wine in the decanter in advance?
Usually you're talking about doing this 30 minutes before you want to drink the wine.
Okay.
At least 30 minutes. And it always depends on the grape varietal, because if you have a grape varietal with a lot of tannins, you should do it earlier. And if you go for grape varietals with less tannins, you can do it a little bit later.
Okay.
And looking at the Spätburgunder or Pinot Noir, this is a grape varietal with not that much tannins, so it's alright to do it 30 minutes. But if you go for really strong Cabernet Sauvignon, which is heavy in tannins, you should maybe give it 1 or 2 hours.
Okay.
And it's also interesting because you do not have to drink wine at one evening. You can open up a bottle, drink maybe a glass, and put the bottle aside, and then try on the 3rd day and maybe on the 5th day, because the wine is developing. And again, it depends on your personal flavor, whether you prefer the wine on day 1, day 3, or day 5, because it always changing a little bit.
Okay.
And yeah, so there are no strict rules. You shouldn't believe any strict rules in terms of wine, because it's always flavor and it's always what you want and what you want to drink. So let's go for that one.
Okay.
Yeah, looking at the color of the wine, it's a red wine, yeah. But this is really interesting because it's a Pinot Noir, and Pinot Noir characteristic is that it's not a heavy red wine, it's a light red wine. So you're able to look through the glass. You got the pomegranate red. It's a light red, maybe a little bit brownish in the here in the side of the glass, but generally it's pomegranate red. Then smelling the wine, for me you get a blackberry. You get I don't remember the English word, Johannisbeere.
Oh, Johannisbeere.
It's not blackberry, because blackberry is Brombeere.
Yeah. Actually, I don't really know.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. We're talking about those small red berries who are just looking like vines, but really, really small. Yep. This is the taste I can get. But generally spoken, red wine get red fruit flavors. And this is what we have here. And it's really a fruity one. It doesn't smell heavy. So it's a nice red wine for if you're not too keen on having a really heavy red wine. And this also continues with the flavor. So yes, you get tannins on your mouth. You really get the tannins, which is keeping your mouth a little bit dry. But you also get the really nice and fruity red stuff. So you get the blackberry, you get I'm not too good in the English words. Sorry about that. Maybe also a little bit of strawberry, I guess. But all those red fruits are really nicely in this wine. And yeah, as I said, it's semi-dry. So we have a little bit of residual sugar, which is just keeping the aromas up. Now the interesting part is, okay, this is the only red wine we have tonight, so we have to combine a little bit with cheese, because this is something completely different. For my taste, I would recommend a hard cheese and maybe a little bit riper cheese. But tonight we only have the softer cheese, so just give it a try. Get the cheese on your plate and try which one you like best. Yeah, this is what I'm doing to you.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you some
Yeah.
cheese and you can test it.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very
there
much.
you go. And same to me. I'm gonna get some cheese.
We've also got a new question.
Yeah, tell me.
Really love your labels. Do you design them yourselves? It just sets you apart from all the other wineries.
Thank you. That's
That's
nice
what
to hear.
I thought also, actually.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, that's nice to hear. And that's what your parents said.
Exactly what my parents said. Yes.
So I joined the wine estate with my mind in 2013. And this is when we decided to go for new labels. We decided to keep the sun as a brand sign because we're living at the Sun Hill, but we want to develop the Sun Hill. So in point of these labels, so the basic line, we had a graphic design person who worked for us. And it was me who said, okay, I like that, I don't like that, let's do like that, I like that color, I want to have this writing. So in this term was me making the decisions, but not doing this in the creativity part. My line is done by some friends of mine. So I told them I want to have it like that, please do some design. And then they came up with some samples and I decided to have it like that. And nowadays we just adapt the colors and the writing and so on. But talking about all the stuff you have right in front of you, so talking about the tasting sheets, about this and how the wine tasting and the online tasting looks like. This is all completely done by me and I'm not a professional in that. So I'm just doing this because I like to do it. It's like my hobby. I'm having fun by just clicking and doing some colorful stuff. So it's really a compliment to personally me if you like the stuff I'm doing. Thank you for that.
Okay, we've also got a new question. Are you afraid of the climate change with all the unknown risks as a winemaker?
For me as a person, I am afraid of the climate change. I am afraid of the consequences which we have to face as a world, as a community, and the whole world. For me as a winemaker, I'm aware of the climate change. So I know what's going to happen. And luckily, in Germany, we are able to adapt. So our wine style will change and we have to change. For example, grapes like the Huxelrebe, which we had, are maybe not able to exist in some years. And also the typical style of German Riesling might be not able to exist in Germany that much longer. So I'm aware of that problem. That's why we are adapting our grape varietals. We're going to plant this year Sauvignon Blanc, we're going to plant Chardonnay, we're going to plant Pinot Blanc, because these are grape varietals which work better with the climate warming. Because a vineyard lasts for at least 25 years, so we have to plan for the future. But I'm scared of water, because the last 2 or 3 years we didn't have enough rain, so we always have the problem that right now we are not watering our wines, but it might be a point that we have to watering our wines in the future. And these are things I'm worrying about, I'm aware about, and we have to deal with them. But talking about the work community, I'm more scared because there is climate warming and I'm scared that not enough people are caring about it and not doing enough about it.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Sorry about these really serious words, but it's a topic to me.
Yeah, it's an important topic.
Yeah. But taking this back to the wine estate, a part of my master was sustainability. So I really got an eye on sustainability and I try to make a wine estate as green as possible. So we try to be as sustainable as possible. We're doing wine, but we're also having some areas where we just plant some flowers to have some refugee areas for wild game, for animals, for birds, for insects, just to give something back to the nature, which is really important to me. And also in terms of winemaking, I'm always thinking about how we could do better processing, how we could save some water, how we could decline on spraying, just to do an impact on the environment, because this is where we're living in, and it's really important to me to have a functional and working environment to support biodiversity and to keep this world alive.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, looking at the community, do we have any more questions, or should I eat some cheese?
No, I think we can eat some cheese now.
Okay. Now I'm talking about red wine and cheese. I think I kind of like it. I still will stay a fan of having white wine with cheese, but I'm able to do that.
Yeah.
This is why I'm looking forward to next weekend. Because, it's not a good thing to eat and talk. Sorry about that. So, as I said, we started doing online wine tastings in November. And we're going to continue this for a little longer. We don't know how long, but right now it's till the end of April. And now we're going to do some wine tastings in German, but also some wine tastings in English. And next weekend, I'm really excited about, we're going to do Riesling. So we're going to do a big Riesling tasting with 6 wines of Riesling and with some cheese. So we again going to combine wine and cheese and white wine and cheese. So I'm looking forward to that. Then we're going to have, let me think about it. We're going to have the topic of red wine and chocolate, which I'm really curious about, because for me, red wine and chocolate fits perfectly, but I'm not sure if everyone likes that. Then we're going to have in the end of April also the topic wine and hunting. There it's not that much about combining wild game and wine. It's more about talking about wine and hunting. So Tim is going to be with me, and maybe another friend of us is going to be with us, and we're going to talk about hunting here in Germany, and we're really keen on hearing about hunting in your area. I'm going to take my doggos with me because I got 4 hunting dogs, so it's really, I want to show them to you. Maybe we have to change the location because this is going to be...
Maybe. It's going to be a bit dangerous.
A little bit chaotic, yes. Just for your information, usually 2 of my dogs are here with me. And we got all those lamps standing around us, and my big dog is just walking around and just pulling down the lamps. That's not pretty good. So we're gonna see how we're gonna organize our wine and hunting. But for your information, it's going to be in English. You're gonna have a nice glass of wild pulled boar, and you're gonna have a bottle of wine to go along with the wild pulled boar, and then we're gonna go for wine tasting of 5 different wines. As I said, all in English. You can contact Maria for that. But if you're keen on talking a little bit German or listening a little bit to German, you can also join our other wine tastings, which you can find in our online shop. You got the address.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a question. Do you always graft?
Can you rephrase that? What does that mean?
I'm also not that sure.
I'm also not sure. Please rephrase that. I really want to answer it, but I don't understand right now. Sorry about that. It might be... I'm not sure. No, I don't know.
Well, maybe you can reformulate the question.
Please do it.
Thank you.
Oh, what else can we tell about our wine estate?
How do you harvest your grapes?
That's a good question. Let me finish the cheese.
Yeah.
I know in a lot of heads and a lot of fantasies, we get a small, lovely wine estate with a small cellar with a small wooden barrels. But this is not winemaking in 2021. So what we mostly do is we harvest our grapes by harvester. So we got a big machine, which is way better and way faster than hands nowadays. So it's a grape liner from Aero, that's the company, and they are able to get the berries, and they are able to decide whether the berries are good or bad. So they drop out the bad berries while harvesting. So we only get the best quality in our wine cellar. And so we do not harvest any longer by hand. We sometimes harvest by hand if we go for a really young vineyard. If we have a 2 years old young vineyard, we go by hand. But after the 3rd year, we're going to go by harvester, because this is the best way to keep a good quality. And according to that, we, as I said, a lot of people have this romantic imagination of a wine estate, but nowadays we have to do professional. We have to have stainless steel tanks. We're not working somewhere down in a cellar. We have a big, not factory, but we have a big place where we do our wines, and it would be nice to show it to you. So back again to the offer, please come and visit us after COVID is a little bit more done than today, I guess.
Yeah. Do you plan on any new varietals in the future?
To adapt to global warming, we're going to go for some not typical German varietals like Sauvignon Blanc, like Chardonnay, but also for me it's interesting to do Pinot Blanc. So it's in German it's called Weißburgunder. This is one classical German varietal which we're gonna do, but the rest is more adapted to global warming, to hotter summers, to a few waters.
Okay.
So we're gonna do that because a vineyard lasts for 25 years. So it's calculated in 25 years. So we're not able to think about 2 or 3 years. We have to think about in a long term.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
the way it is.
Yeah.
As we both now finished our glasses, the question to you, do you have any questions, anything on your heart which you want to get rid of right now? So please tell us. Still, we're happy to answer. And also, if you wanted to give us any feedback, because this was our first English wine tasting, we're happy to get some constructive feedback. You got my email address, you got my business card and everything. Please send us some emails if you're having any questions, or also if you want to give some feedback. We're happy about that. And now, really important, please listen to me. Usually in our wine tasting, each and every customer gets a 10% discount via email. But as you got your wine from Maria, I couldn't give you the discount. So right now I'm giving you a discount. If you want to order some wine after the tasting, please send me an email and tell me that you've been in the tasting, that you've been from the US soldiers in Wiesbaden, and then I'm happy to give you 10% for your first order. Just tell us in an email or tell us in the comment section in the online shop. Because if you like the wine, we're happy to send more to you, and we're happy to give you some discount.
Okay. We've got 2 new questions.
Tell me.
First, are you only using stainless steel tanks?
Currently, we have mostly stainless steel tanks. So we have about 40 tanks, and 37 are stainless steel, and 3 are plastic ones, because these are the huge ones. And furthermore, we have some wooden barrels. So we have French oak and American oak. We're going for American oak to mature the Cabernet Sauvignon and Merlot. And we have the French oak for the German Silvaner White, which is going to be available in, I guess, July 2021.
Okay. And also, you were talking about the hotel of your sister. Maybe you could tell us the name of the hotel.
Yeah, maybe you can type in the name.
I can, yes.
It's called Hotel Café Nata. Tim is gonna type it in for you, because then you just have to type it into Google. It's located in Gensing. That's the name of the city. It's a really nice located hotel because you're quite next to the river Nahe, and there you have a hiking area and you have a bicycling area, and you can do like a nice long weekend, having some wine tastings with me or my father or my sister, no, my mother, sorry about that, and do some hikes or do some bicycling. So you got the name? Google it.
Yeah.
Contact my sister, contact me. We're happy to welcome you at our estate and our hotel after lockdown.
Okay. How does your shop? How's the? How do you say? How well does your shop is going during the Corona times?
Good question. I wrote my master thesis on the topic of wine development, or the development of the wine and German wine industry during COVID. For us personally, we are really happy and lucky about COVID. No, that's the wrong word. But we made it through COVID in a good way, because we do not have that much restaurants and gastronomy. So we had a lot of private customers, and all those private customers decided to go for more wine. They decided to go for higher quality, so they went for my line. And we were really, really busy last year because a lot of people just started to enjoy wine.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for us it was a good year, but for the German wine industry it was quite difficult. But it really depends, because it really depends on are you focused on export, are you focused on gastronomy, or are you focused on private customers? And depending on your focus, you had a good or a bad year. So in general, the German wine industry was doing zero, I guess. Like, it's not that good and not that bad, so something in between.
Okay. And also a question: does Gewürztraminer grow in this area?
Yeah, we do have Gewürztraminer in our area. I really, really love Gewürztraminer. It's one of my favorite grape varietals. But my father doesn't like it that much. That's why we do not have it. So for me personally, I'm always looking for Drei Gewürztraminer because I really like it. And Gelber Muscatella and Muscadet, so I all like this flowerish and really fruity stuff. And my father doesn't like it, so that's why we do not grow it right now. But maybe in the future.
Okay. So far with the questions.
So, then I guess it's time to say goodbye. I would say thank you for being here. Thank you for being with us. I hope you had a nice evening. I hope you really enjoyed the cheese from Dörrweiler. And as I said, we're going to do a new stream on wine and hunting in April. And we're happy to see you again. So thank you for listening. And
yeah, thank you for listening.
We'll
Bye bye. Till next time.
Good night.
Good night.
Ich bin beim Wild auf Wein Camp dabei und hier treffen sich Jäger, Leute aus der Foodbranche, aus der Weinbranche. Die alle lernen was voneinander, aber am meisten lernen wir natürlich von den Jägern während der Zeit auf dem Ansitz.
Ich war heute das erste Mal auf dem Ansitz und es hat mir richtig gut gefallen. Wir haben heute Morgen nichts erlegt. Das lag aber nicht daran, dass wir nichts gesehen haben. Also wir hatten einige Beobachtungen machen können. Wir hatten Wildschweine gesehen, 4 Stück, und einige Rehböcke, die eigentlich auch auf dem Plan waren. Der Plan war jedoch erfüllt, deswegen blieb es beim Beobachten. Was mich erstaunt hat, war, dass Patrick deshalb in keinster Weise frustriert war, sondern im Gegenteil. Er hat dann einfach die Momente genossen, wo wir die Tiere beobachten konnten. Und das hat mir so ein bisschen gezeigt, dass es beim Jagen doch um mehr geht als ums Erleben und ums Schießen.
Die Grillsession gestern beim Wild auf Wein Event war sehr cool, weil wir alle zusammen gekocht haben. Für mich war es super spannend, weil ich esse seit 15 Jahren kein Fleisch. Und wir haben überwiegend natürlich oder nur regional geschossene Wildtiere serviert. Und davon habe ich ein Stückchen Wildschwein probiert. Das war sehr aufregend und es war sehr lecker. Trotzdem werde ich zu Hause kein Fleisch essen. Wenn dann nach diesem Event, würde ich eher sagen, ich mache selbst einen Jagdschein, um selbst Tiere zu jagen, um auch den Bestand niedrig zu halten und das Ganze nachhaltig zu machen und das Tier dann aber auch bis zum Ende zu verwerten.
Wild auf Wein gefällt mir sehr gut. Ich habe ja eher den Weinhintergrund und wollte einfach auch mehr über die Jagd erfahren und dazu hatte ich hier die Gelegenheit. Die Jagd ist ein sehr regionales Thema und wir haben ja hier auch einen regionalen Weinanbau. Wir sind in Rheinhessen und die ganze Veranstaltung hat auf einem Weingut stattgefunden. Und es war natürlich fantastisch zu sehen, auch vielleicht für die Nicht-Weinkenner, wie ein guter Wein ein gutes Essen ergänzt und wie ein gutes Essen einen guten Wein vielleicht noch besser macht.